Thursday, June 25th, is the International Day of the Seafarer, and this year the occasion takes on a special meaning and a sense of urgency. While faced with a global pandemic, seafarers in Canada and all over the world have continued to facilitate the movement of essential goods and people, keeping world economies on life support. But it has come at a significant cost. The welfare of seafarers globally is at risk, as a majority of countries will not support normal crew changes and the movement of seafarers during the pandemic. Thousands upon thousands of seafarers' contracts expired on June 15th after having been extended to address the impacts of COVID-19. The global pandemic resulted in border closures, a complete disruption of air travel globally, and an overriding fear that has kept most seafarers on board ships without regular crew changes or shore leave that usually happens in the world's ports. As many nations focused on repatriating their own citizens, did anyone seriously consider how thousands of crew members would return home? The answer is no, not quickly, and more often than not, this meant that seafarers were extending their contracts on board ships well beyond anything that might be considered normal. While many countries turned inward to address the impacts of the pandemic at home, certain countries and organizations quickly understood the necessity for continued trade and the critical role by seafarers in facilitating it. Early in the pandemic, Canada was one of only a handful of countries that designated all transportation workers as essential. Canada and thereby supported their mobility and across international borders. Canada chose not to shy away from its international commitments, including supporting crew changes, and is now focused on improving the immigration process and removing other barriers for seafarers and crew changes. The government of Canada is working with partners in both labor and the marine industry to develop solutions quickly to address the growing crisis for seafarers. While Canada may not be a global hub for shipping, its actions are commendable and establish a strong example for the rest of the world. Despite the best of intentions in Canada, this is a global challenge and it requires a global solution. Canada can and should be more vocal on the world stage to help resolve this dire situation. The Government of Canada has proven that it understands the importance of supporting workers, including seafarers, and now it must leverage its presence in the international arena to implement solutions globally. The solutions are well known, and now is the time for leaders, including Canada, to stand up and demand that they be implemented. Seafarers must be identified as essential workers everywhere and have the mobility to move between ports and different countries. If it does not happen soon, it is possible that seafarers will begin to leave their ships without replacements. Without replacements, ships may be stranded in or near ports, unable to meet minimum crewing requirements that are in place to ensure a sufficient level of safety, exposing the real hidden crisis to trade. For seafarers that choose to remain in a ship, they could face an increasingly stressful environment due to their extended presence, without breaks or shore leave, a tenuous situation that has already caused increased instances of distress and deteriorating mental health among seafarers. It is far too easy to take for granted the items that we order online or pick up locally. They magically appear whenever we input our credit card details into an app or swipe a debit card at a local big box store. We have become accustomed to the convenience of shopping on demand, even during a global pandemic. As we mark the International Day of the Seafarer, let us not take for granted our generally high standard of living in Canada and recognize that seafarers are key workers, essential to shipping and essential to the world. They deserve more than just our respect, but action to support their welfare today and tomorrow. I am Robert Louis Manning.
Commentary That Matters is a partner program of Conversations That Matter. The production of this show is made possible thanks to your generous support. Please become a Patreon at patreon.com/commentary that matters and become a subscriber so that you don't miss a single episode of Commentary That Matters.